Say hi all. Yeah, hello all faculties present here. Very good evening and welcome to day number 5 for cohort 1. Hope I am audible and my screen is visible to all the faculties present here. So can I get a quick live once in the chat for the confirmation? Hope my screen is visible and I am clearly audible. A very good evening to all the faculties present here. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now fine. So today, yesterday, first of all, yesterday we discussed about like how to create a convolution neural network based application. So we created on animal species classification using convolution neural network, where we understand how to use the IBM Watson Studio service to create a deep learning based model on IBM cloud platform. So today we are going to be understand how to deploy the deep learning model and integrate with the Flask app framework. So today our agenda is, I'm just sharing my screen. So today our agenda is firstly to deploy the deep learning model on IBM Cloud, which we created yesterday, which means like on Saturday, basically, last session. So today we are going to be discuss about So today we are going to be discuss about how to deploy a deep learning model on IBM Cloud service. Then after once we deployed our model on deep learning model on IBM Cloud, we have to be download that model in the local system. And once after we download in our local system, then we move forward towards the Flask application. So Flask is basically a BAF framework which we are going to be used today to integrate our deep learning model and create a simple app basically for animal species, where we give a permission to the user to upload the image, and once they upload the image, user will easily able to predict the outcome and see the output into the UI. So I hope you already install the prerequisites for today's session. We already share the prerequisite for today's session in the Telegram group. So I hope you all installed. I'm requesting those who not installed, please install parallelly like Anaconda Navigator. We already shared the link and the document related with today's session. So I hope you install. So can I get a quick reply once in the chat for the confirmation? Hope you all already have an Anaconda prompt in your system, Anaconda Navigator. If not, so please install parallelly. So may I get the confirmation once in the chat? Okay, that's cool. Fine. So I hope many of you already have an Anaconda Navigator in your local system. If not, so I'm requesting once again, please install Anaconda Navigator in your local system. Why? Because we are going to be deploy a deep learning model into the Flask BAF framework, and after that we integrate it and create a beautiful UI for the user purpose, basically, where user will upload the image and get the predicted outcome. So I'm requesting once again, please download the prerequisites for today's session. If you didn't install it, we already shared the information related with like Anaconda prompt, which you have to be installed. Again, I will share my screen and send you the link to download the Anaconda Navigator. So I'm requesting once again, please download it in your local system once. Yeah, we will be use like Jupyter notebook, or we will be going to be use Spider, mainly focus on Spider as an IDE. Today we are going to be like use the IDE called like Spider, where we can write a Flask code, and we can also render our output on the web browser. So I'm requesting once again, if you didn't download the Anaconda Navigator in your system, we already shared the link in the chat also. So please download it in your local system. And after that, in the meanwhile, we are going to be deploy the deep learning model on IBM Cloud. So I'm just sharing. Once after we deploy our deep learning model on IBM Cloud, then we understand after deploying and download the model in local system, then we understand the Flask, how to create a web application using Flask. Then we can integrate the downloaded IBM deep learning model with Flask, and we can evaluate the model on IBM web page. Yeah, PyCharm. If you have any ID, I'm going to be used today. Spider, if you have PyCharm, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio, you can go with any ID. There is not any specific ID you have to be used. You can go with any ID. But I will go with like a Spider, so that's why I'm telling you. And please try to install Anaconda Navigator. If it's already installed in your system, then it's fine. Otherwise, you can download it. Now I'm going to be share the screen for the web browser, and I'm requesting to all the faculties present here, please log into your IBM Cloud. And once you all are in the dashboard place, please let me know once in the chat. Please log into your IBM Cloud once. And once you are in the dashboard, dashboard page, please let me know once for the confirmation, so we can proceed with the deep learning model deployment on IBM Cloud. Yes, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for 2 minutes. I'm requesting for all the faculties, please log into your IBM Cloud. And if you don't have an Anaconda Navigator, so please install parallelly in your local system once. So hope you all like log in successfully into the IBM Cloud. So shall we proceed? Dear faculty, shall we proceed? Okay, fine. So yesterday we created one notebook, CNN notebook. In the same notebook, we are going to be like write down the IBM deployment. So what I need to do in this case, I have to launch Watson Studio service first. After that, I have to go onto that particular project. So first of all, simply go onto left-hand side top corner, click onto the resource list first. Once you click on resource list, you will be redirected onto this page where you will get the information related with all the services which you created earlier. So scroll down and go on to services and software section. You will get service name called Watson Studio. So just simply click on Watson Studio. Simply click on Watson Studio and you will be redirected onto the page where Watson Studio service is created. I'm requesting once again, please go to the top left hand side navigation bar, click on resource list. Then after you can click on cloud like services, basically services and network, and click on your Watson Studio service and you will redirect onto this page. Once you are in this page, please launch your IBM Cloud for Watson Studio service. Please launch your IBM Cloud Watson Studio service. And in the bottom, you are getting an information related with your project. So today we are going to be create a project for day 5. You can go with the same file. Just simply click on your project which you created yesterday, which means like in last session. Please click on that project. Please click on that project once. And after that, you will redirect onto the asset section. So On day 4, we understand about like how to create a convolution neural network based deep learning model. So I hope you all have the same file. I hope you are able to redirect onto this page. Like day 4 in your case, I just rename it day 5. And please click onto the notebook which you created in the last session. Yes, I am waiting in the meanwhile. It takes some time to launch. I'm requesting for all. Please go to your IBM Cloud. Click on top hand. Please click on top corner left hand side. Resource list. Go to your services and network. Click on to Watson Studio service. Once Watson Studio service will launch, click on to your project name which you created in the previous class. Please click on that and you will redirect onto the asset page of that particular project. After that, select your file name which you created in the previous class, because same model we are going to be deployed on IBM. So I'm requesting Brahmani, ma'am, please share your credentials once with our team, Hari or Srikant. They will check and get back to you. Please DM them. So I hope you all are in the same page right now. I'm requesting once again. I hope you launch successfully your notebook. Okay. Now in the toolbar, you are able to see in the left, in the right hand side, we have multiple options. One is 001. This is for comments. This is for information like in which, what about your notebook and all. You have to be download from here. You have an option to create a job, to share with like anyone. You have to be unlock this file. You have an pencil icon to edit it. So please click on this pencil icon to edit this notebook once again, because we are going to be deploy the same model on IBM Cloud Platform. So in your case, dataset is already uploaded. Again, I have to be load the dataset. So what I need to do, I have to go 0100. In the meanwhile, I'm loading the dataset, drag and drop. I'm just loading the dataset. Yeah. So how many of you are successfully load your file and you are in the same page right now? I hope you all are in the same page right now. Please give me the quick confirmation. Step by step procedure you have to be follow, because again we have to run the same file which we run in the last class. Have to add it and upload the dataset. No. In your case, you have to be added on. Yeah. Yes. In your case, actually, I delete that service, so that's why I'm just uploading, re-upload once again. In your case, you don't need to be upload again. No, because your cloud object storage bucket is already created, so you don't need to be like upload once again. Okay. So in this, I'm just deleting this and insert the code once again. So yeah, we are now in the same phase. So this is PWD. It's basically for checking the working directory. After that, you all have to be run the next cell where we load the data set with the help of cloud object storage. So I hope you are not getting any error. Second number cell, I hope you all are not getting any error where we load the data set. Once after you load the data set, you have to proceed with the next step, that is called ls, to check is there any data presented already or not. So right now we don't have, and because I added this data, so my streaming body is now changed. So I only need to be changed here, streaming body as 2. That's it. Remaining all these things, all the same all the things are basically same. I hope you all are easily like unzip the folder, and now you can check with ls. So you will get the information related with your data set. So one data set is presented, and under that there are two different folder. One is for training and one is for testing. If you want to load the data set, so just simply select the cell, go to this 0100, drag and drop option, select this option. One pop-up will open from your local system, Windows. If you are using Windows, local system, when you pop up, you will get load your data. Once loaded, once your data will be loaded successfully, you get an option with this drop down as insert to code as streaming body object and credentials. We don't want to use only credential. We want streaming body object because we don't want to write the code for authentication basically. So this is how like you can load the data set, unzip the folder. Once you unzip the folder, we are going to be performed. Just a minute. Yeah. Now we already know like image augmentation technique which we applied on like the previous session. Just simply run all the files. Why we are running? Because we have to be save the model. Like now we have to save the model, and that saved model we need to be deployed on IBM Cloud Platform. So just simply run whatever the cells are presented. Just simply run. This is how we load the data set on that day. 1238 images with 4 classes. Then for the test data, please run those cells. And then after extrain class indices, like these are the indices we have. And after that, load CNN library and add those layers, basically convolution layer, max pooling layer, flattening layer, and see the summary of the model. And after that, we need to be at the hidden layers. After hidden layers, we have to be run the cell for softmax because we have a multi-class classification problem. Then we compile the model, check the extrain data as 52. So why we are running this, I will tell you after testing the model. So here we are saving the model once again. We have to be save the model. So we are training right now. Then after we can save the model. After saving the model, we need to be perform the IBM deployment part. So it will take some time. In the meanwhile, I just want to know like you all are able to perform the operations, same operations. So we are going to be, yes. In your case, streaming body one means first time if you are like using that one, so its variable will be created with streaming body one. Second time if you load the data, so streaming body two. Third time if you load the data, so streaming body will be three. So variable should be unique. So that is why it's like streaming body one first time I loaded in the same file as two. Second time, so that is why streaming body will be 2. Actually, like the problem of CUH is what, like if you're using this service, suppose we are using Watson Studio service right now. If you are again and again run this file multiple times, suppose, so in that case, anyhow you're utilizing the CUH. We are getting 10 CUH. That is basically capacity unit hour. So if you utilize in the at the time of the training itself and after training also, if you are utilizing, that is why CUH got exhausted. So we will try to resolve this issue. So in the meanwhile, like you have to be focused on this. We will resolve we will try to resolve CUH because CUH is not in our hand. It gonna utilize by you basically. No, 10 CUH for month. So for this month, 10 CUH, for next month, again 10 CUH will be allotted to you. In that way, like multiple for 12 months basically. For now, 6 months, you will get 10 CUH for Watson Studio, sir. If you're using any other service, again, the CUH will be allotted based on that particular service. So today we are also going to be create one more service that is called machine learning service, where we will get 20 CUH for that particular service. Because we are utilizing Watson Studio for creating a Jupyter notebook, if suppose there are 3 hours of session, so in 3 hours of session, mostly we have like 3.5 hours of session. So in that, it is consuming the CUH for every hour, 1 CUH for every hour. So that is why like CUH got consumed in you. So we will like try to resolve this issue. Now after loading this, we have to be like check the list and save our model. So this is how we save the model, and then we test our model. So like on previous session, we test our model in that way. We load from the TensorFlow library, tensorflow.keras.model, where we import the load underscore model library and also import the image library. And then after we load the model which we saved with the help of model.save function, and under that we pass the name as animal.h5. So the same model we loaded here. Then we check the image and we load the image. After that, we load the image in the target size as 64 into 64, that is height and width of that model, converted into an array to get the pixel information. After that, we expand the dimension for it, because we need to be perform numpy.argmax function to predict the outcome. And while predicting the outcome, we will get the information related with that index. So 2 as an index we are getting. After that, our user will not understand what exactly 2 is. So in that case, what we did, we load this indices and stored it into the index. So index bear, crows, elephant, and rats. And after that, we perform the operation onto this particular variable called y. In y, our data is stored as array of 2. So y of 0, so we will get this 2, and index of 2 is elephant in that case. So that is why we are getting an output as elephant in this case. In the same way, we check for crows, we check for rats. So I hope it's clear now. So now what we are going to do is, we have to be deploy our model. So I'm just writing like IBM deployment model. So we are going to be deploy our model on IBM basically. So what we need to do in this case, we have to be install the requisite libraries basically. So IBM deployment model. So just simply write like IBM deployment here and create as a heading. So I'm creating the heading for this. After that, we have to be save the model. So before that, yes, I will try to increase it. Now it's visible. Hope it's visible now. So IBM deployment. So if we are going to be deploy our model on IBM, we have to create one service, and that service is nothing but a Watson machine learning service. So Watson machine learning service is what, and why do we create this service? So Watson machine learning service is basically a service that is offering by IBM Cloud to developers and to the data scientists to work together and integrate the predictive capabilities with their applications. And the machine learning service is set of the REST APIs that you can call from your programming language, such as like Python programming. to develop the application that can solve such type of image classification problems, and for machine learning also, and for deep learning based application. So what are the different features? So what are the different features we have under the Watson machine learning service? So it will basically provide a model management and a deployment, where you can get multiple options such as online deployment, streaming deployment, and others. And you can select any of the widely supported machine learning frameworks such as like TensorFlow, Keras, Caffe, PyTorch, Scikit-learn, SPSS, Spark machine learning library, and many others. So with the help of Watson machine learning service, we can create and train the models with the best model and the latest expertise in the environment, that is help us to build a deep learning based model or a machine learning based model with the help of Watson machine learning service. So now, before starting IBM deployment, what we have to do is go to your cloud.ibm.com. So if you want to go, just simply read our go on to add one more tab and write down cloud.ibm.com. So you will be redirect onto your dashboard page. Please click on cloud.ibm.com. So you will be redirect onto IBM, like cloud.ibm.com. After that, you can click on catalog option. Once you click on catalog option, you will be redirect onto the catalog page, where you get multiple options to like create the service. So here we are going to be create a machine learning service, which basically provide us the framework such as like TensorFlow, Keras, Scikit-learn, XGBoost, Caffe, PyTorch, and many others. So I'm just simply click on machine learning. Same, you are creating service as like Watson Studio. In the same way, you have to be create a service as machine learning. So select a location. Make sure your location is same as like Watson Studio, which you created as in Dallas. So machine learning service also be hosted on the same region. So I'm also selecting the region as Dallas in this case. So once you select it, you have an option called multiple option for pricing plan. So we are getting an option as light plan because we have an academic account. In light plan, you can see here, we are getting 20 capacity units per hour for this particular service. For this service, machine learning service, we are getting again 20 CUH for this. So for find out this machine learning service, you need to be go onto cloud.ibm.com. You will be redirect onto the dashboard. Click on catalog. I will show you once again. If I am in IBM Cloud dashboard page, cloud.ibm.com. And then after click on catalog option. Once you click on catalog option, you will be redirect onto the catalog, which is provided by the IBM, which we already familiar while we are creating the Watson Studio service. So here in the catalog, you have to be write machine learning. So I'm just simply write like machine learning. So I told you why we are creating the machine learning service. Ensure that you created the service like Watson Studio service in the Dallas region. So in the same way, you have to be select a location as Dallas in this case for machine learning service, for creating the machine learning service. And by default, the light plan will be selected. And for this particular service, you will get 20 CUH. This is the other service. Watson Studio is other service. So for this service, if you want to give the name, you can also give your unique name. Otherwise, it's automatically take the unique name for your case. In the right hand side, you will be able to see like machine learning location Dallas. This is the light plan resource group as default, and this is my name of the service. Select this checkbox and click on create. Once you click on create, your Watson machine learning service will be created in this case. after it's created, you don't need to be launched. Once it's created successfully, go to your, I'm just giving here the new name. So if you want to rename the file, click on I button, click here. So this is IBM Day 5 CNN model, and just simply click on save. So your name will be updated here. So IBM deployment we are doing right now. So for deployment purpose, we have to install the library in the Jupyter notebook. So right now in IBM deployment, you have to be install the library. So how we install the library generally in Python? With the help of pip command. So just exclamation sign, pip install, and here you need to be write like Watson hyphen machine hyphen learning hyphen again and client. So you need to be install pip install Watson machine learning client, and please run this cell. Once you run this cell, please if your resource group is there, or you need to be select the light plan, and please click on create checkbox. If you mark the checkbox, then only it will enable. So this is how like I install the with the help of pip install. I install this library called Watson machine learning client. So I hope you all install successfully for IBM deployment purpose. Pip install Watson machine learning client. I hope you created pip install Watson machine learning client to install this service. Once after you install it, you have to be authenticate your notebook. So how you can authenticate? So for authentication purpose, we firstly need to give the URL. URL for what? URL for the reason. Yes, I will just a minute. Yeah. So please go here. Just write pip install Watson machine learning client. Please write down pip install Watson machine learning client to install this service, to utilize the Watson machine learning service functionality in your Jupyter notebook. Now I'm scrolling down. Shall I proceed? I hope you installed. Okay. Now after installing the library, we need to be authenticate. Authenticate means like if I am going to be utilize a service from IBM, so anyhow I need to be authenticate to utilize the service in particular region. So Dallas region we are selecting basically. So for Dallas region, we just need to be authenticate. So just need to be import from IBM underscore Watson underscore machine underscore learning. So please write from IBM underscore Watson underscore machine underscore learning. We have to be import an API client. Please import API client from IBM Watson machine learning. We need to be import API client. With the help of API, we can authenticate that this notebook is created in this particular API, and that API and this service is hosted in IBM Watson machine learning. So after that, you need to be write a variable as a dictionary we are creating. So it's a simple Python dictionary. So WML credentials I am just writing. WML is an abbreviation for Watson machine learning. So I need to be authenticate the credentials. Under that, you need to be provide the URL. URL for what? In which region you created the service. So I will go back to the cloud.ibm.com and I will show you the service which I created in the Dallas region. And Dallas region comes under the US South. So if you come back here, you can see in services and software, I created machine learning service in the Dallas region and Watson Studio service also hosted in the Dallas region. So for this, I need to be write URL, that is URL column in double quotes. You need to be write like HTTPS colon /US -South. This is the region basically where Dallas region is present. .aml.cloud.ibm.com. Please write URL HTTPS colon /US-South.aml.cloud.ibm.com. After that, you need to be authenticated with the API key. So here in double quotes again, you need to be provide the API key. Now, how we can create an API key? Till now, it's clear. 2 steps only for today. One, install the Watson machine learning library. Second one, create a WML credentials. So I hope it's clear. So this URL is representing Dallas region. Now we need to be authenticated with the help of API client. So how we can do that? We need to be create an API. So from where we can create an API key? Go to your cloud.ibm.com page, which means your home page of your IBM cloud service. In IBM Cloud, you have an option in the top navigation bar, such as manage option. If you click on manage option, you will get an option called Access Identity Access Management, Access IM. So simply click on Access IM, that is Identity and Access Management. Please go to Manage from the top navigation bar. Click on Access IM from cloud.ibm.com. And in the left-hand side, you will get an option called API keys. Simply click on API keys. So how many of you are in the same page, dear faculties? How many of you are in the same page? Open new tab, click on cloud.ibm.com. Then after, in the top navigation bar, we have an option called Manage. Simply click on this drop down and click on Access IM. Once you click on Access IM, you will enter into Identity and Access Management of IBM Cloud, where in the left-hand side navigation menu, you will get multiple options, but you need to go onto the API key because we are going to create an API key to authenticate us. Like we have this account, and in this account only I created a Watson machine learning service, and we are going to be deployed our model into the same account. So once you are in the API key, you will get an option in the right hand side with blue button, create an IBM Cloud API key. Simply click on that, and here you are getting an option as giving the name. So I am giving the name as IBM-CNN. If you want to give the description, you can also give the description. Simply click on create. Once you click on create, no need to close this pop-up. You have an option called download. So first of all, please download the API key, because while we are downloading the model into the local system, also the same API key we are going to be using. So please keep this API key with you. So simply click on download option. If you want to copy this, you will get an option called copy. So please simply click on copy from here. Firstly, you can download it. Click on copy. So this is my API key basically. So what I need to do, I have to go onto the code, and under that code, I need to be paste the API key. I need to copy the API key and go back to your code because I already created. So this is the API key which I created. So please create your API key first. I hope you all created the API key successfully. API key is basically used to authenticate the user. This is an API client. Basically, we are going to be deploy our model on IBM Cloud. So how we can authenticate whether this is an user or not? So we need to be authenticated with the help of like API key, and the API key which we are written here. Before that, we are also mentioning URL. URL is nothing but in which location your service is hosted, right? So our services are hosted on Dallas region, and Dallas region comes under US-South. US-South, this is the main region. Under that, Dallas is basically the location. After that, we need to be authenticate these credentials with the help of this API client function. So Beena ma'am, I think it's clear now. It's clear for all. Now after, we are need to be create another variable. So I'm just creating a variable as client here. Under that client, we need to be verify the API. So I'm just writing like API client function. So API I imported from here. So this is how like we need to be verify what we are going to verify this WML credentials. So you need to be create a parenthesis. Under that, we need to be write client is equals to API client. Yes, you need to be run this. Sorry for that. Thank you, Naveen sir. Firstly, we need to be run this to like yes. So now URL and API keys stored it into this dictionary called WML credentials. Then after client is equals to API client. Under that, we need to be passed this dictionary. So I'm passing the dictionary here. If I run this, so it will take few seconds to verifying that yes, these API key and URL are presented here. If you want to see, so this client basically create an identity, basically unique ID for that. If I write client here, I will get unique information related to this. So this is an IBM Watson machine learning.client.api client at this particular location. This is the location where client variable is stored. I hope till now it's clear. Till now it's clear. For client, basically, I think please check once you are importing in that way or not. And one more important thing, please write pip install exclamation pip install Watson machine learning client. And after that, you can just import the library API client from IBM Watson machine learning and just authenticate the user with the help of this API key. Please check once whether you written correct to install the library. Which output, JMM? This is nothing but this. I just show you basically. This is the ID. No. This is I am just showing you like this is the ID which is allocated for this client. Till now, like URL, which region you created the service in Dallas region? In Dallas region only you created the service? Okay, fine. Now after that, we need to create a space name. So what is that space name? A space name is nothing but a deployment space where you want to deploy your application, where you have to deploy your application. So what you need to do in this case, again go to, now in this time, go to your resource list, once and scroll down, because we need to deploy our application. Anyhow, we need to host our model onto the IBM cloud platform. So we need to deploy it. So how we can deploy? Just scroll down, go to your Watson Studio service once again, click here Watson Studio. Once you click on Watson Studio, you need to launch the service. So I'm just simply click on to launch the IBM Watson Studio. Please go to resource list, click on services, and then after please click on Watson Studio. You will be redirected onto this page. Now we are going to deploy our model. So deployment is what our main purpose is. We created the model in the last. Yes, I'm waiting. I will wait for 2 minutes. Once you are in the same page, please let me know. I'm in the same page. Please let me know once you all are in the same page. In the new tab, please open Watson Studio. Firstly, write down cloud.ibm.com. You will redirect onto the dashboard page. Go to your resource list, select the service called Watson Studio. Simply click on that and launch your Watson Studio. No. You don't need to run onto the same one. This is here basically. I opened in the new tab basically. So I'm requesting that you can open in the new tab. Watson Studio, you need to open in the new tab for creating the deployment space. Okay. So right now we are in the Watson Studio page. Now you have an option in the left hand side, top corner, navigation menu. Simply click on that. Ma'am, we will provide the solution for that. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's not in our hand basically. So simply click on navigation menu and you will have an option. Multiple options are here. In that way, you are getting an option. I hope you all are getting the same option. You have an option as deployment. We are going to deploy our deep learning model onto the IBM Cloud platform. So simply click on deployment and you will be redirected onto the next page. That is for deployment. So once you click on the deployment, in this account, basically, I have like multiple spaces, but in your case, it shows as 0 spaces. So I hope you created the deployment space. You are all are in the same page, deployment page. I hope you all are in the same page, deployment. After that, we have an option in the right hand side top with blue button, new deployment space. When I click on new deployment space, So here you can see use a space to collect the asset in one place to create, run, and manage the deployment. So our deployment storage stored it into cloud object storage. Which service we are going to be used? We are going to be use Watson machine learning service. So which service you created? Simply click onto this drop down, select the Watson machine learning service. Once you select it, you have a name, basically define detail. So please give the name. So I'm giving the name as animal underscore deploy. So this will I will identify very easily animal underscore deploy. Please write down, define the detail name as animal underscore deploy. By default, cloud object storage service is the storage service for storing the deployment of animal underscore deploy. Select a machine learning service, that is an optional part, but we are using TensorFlow and Keras in our project. So we need to be select the Watson machine learning service because these frameworks we are going to be used. Define detail name as animal underscore deploy. Select storage service as cloud object storage. By default, it's selected. Watson machine learning service, which we created, now you get an option to select it from the drop down. I hope you all are in the same page and create, give the name of your deployment space, select the storage service, and also select a machine learning service. So can I get a quick reply once in the chat, dear faculties? Oh. Fine. After this, you have an option called create. Simply click on create button and your space that name is animal underscore deploy is created right now, which takes some time to create a deployment space for animal underscore deploy. So in my case, it's now created. So space is ready. You can simply click on view new space. Once you click on that, you can see the entire information related with your deployment model. So currently it shows as 0 deployed model. If you go for the asset, there is no asset right now. Deployment, no deployment right now. There is no jobs for this purpose. You mainly go to manage. Once your animal underscore deploy deployment space is created, please click on manage and you will get the information related with the space. Deployment space is created. So the unique ID is allocated to you. Machine learning service is basically used in the backend for that. In cloud object storage, we are going to be used to save the model. And this is how, like, if you want to leave the space and delete the space. So how many of you are successfully created a deployment space for IBM deployment? In this particular deployment space, animal underscore deploy, we are going to be deploy our animal species classification model. So I hope it's done for all. Okay, fine. Now go back to your code. This is the name, unique name, animal underscore deploy, and this is the space GUI. So animal underscore deploy, go back to the code. Here, we need to create a function, def function. So I'm just writing GUID, UID unique identification ID. You can give any name for the space name, the space underscore name I'm just giving here. Then after you have to pass this client. So I'm just passing the client and along with your model name, deployment space. So animal underscore deploy is your deployment space. Under that, what we need to do is we need to be write space is equals to client. Client means this client I'm talking about. In this client, this API key and URL is authenticated. So client dot Spaces means deployment space right now. Dot. We need to get the details. So I'm just getting the details here and stored it into space variable. After that, it's spaces basically client.space. After that, we need to be written this function. So I'm return this function right now. Return the next function which contains the item for item in the space. So we have only one item in the space right now. That is called the resource, the entity, and the name of that particular model. So just need to be write like return next item for item. This means this is a variable for that for item in a space. In a space means this particular space. We are getting the details right now. In this space, item will be stored here, and this is the variable which we created for that. Under that, we have a resource. What we have? We have resources. After that, resources, just need to write like if item, whatever the resource that is stored here, if item entity and the name of that item is equals to animal underscore deploy what we want metadata. It's basically metadata id we want in this case. metadata id and simply run. So if your entity name is animal underscore deploy, then that metadata id we want in this. Yes or no? Which id I'm talking about right now? I'm talking about we created this service animal deploy. This GUID space ID I'm talking about. This we want actually. Please post this cell in the chat. Yeah, definitely I will share. I'm sharing in the chat. I hope you receive. Now after we verifying if animal space is this, then after we need to be create a space UID, space unique ID deployment space. We call this function a simple Python function. We call GUID underscore space underscore name. You can give any name for that. For understanding purpose, I gave it. Now we have to be verified with the client as well as our model name. So my model name is underscore deploy. If it is successfully verifying that animal underscore deploy is there, then what I want to print. What I want to print? I want to print this space UI. So simply I'm just passing this variable into the print statement and run this. So here you can see we are getting the space UID as last 4 letter 6824. If I want to verify whether it is correct or not, I will go back again into the deployment space, and here you can see it started from 2A423. It started from 2A423. So it means that we verified our deployment space is created and its space UID is this. Now after, the next step is, if you want to see your default is, you need to be set the default space as animal underscore deploy. How you can do that? Default space means this UID will be your default space. Just simply write like client dot set it underscore, set dot default underscore space, where you have to pass this is space UID. Just simply pass the space UID here and run this. If you are getting a message as success, it means that your space ID is verified and default space is created. If I run this, I'm getting a success message. So how many of you are getting a success message right now? How many of you are getting the success message right now? Set object has no attribute default space error. Make sure you written in the same way. Make sure, Jaya ma'am, please make sure you written in the same way, the same steps which we follow. Check with your, then it was, yeah, fine. That's an issue. Yeah. Check with the spelling once. Fine. Now after, I just want to see, like suppose we have a space UID, we have unique ID for this. Now I want to see what are the different software specification supported by IBM. Okay, so how we can check? Just simply write like client dot software underscore specifications dot specification dot list function. If you run this, you will get a list of, sir, your previous recorded. You definitely will share the recorded video. So client dot software dot specifications dot list, and we are getting the multiple software specification that is supported by IBM. So top 50 data is displayed right now. So if you want to see more than that, just simply pass a parameter as 100 and you will get list of software specification that is supported by IBM. So here you can see, in this case, we have like default Python 3.6 kernel, and many others are deprecated right now, but many others are basically here for. So here you can see we have TensorFlow, also TensorFlow version, scikit-learn, PyTorch, kernel Spark, runtime, auto AI service, again like multiple TensorFlow versions, XGBoost, Spark, auto AI, and many others like Cafe. Also we have a Cafe model also, and these are the UID. UID means unique identification for this particular service, this particular software specification. Now after, we are going to be deploy the model. So how we will be going to be deploying the model in local systems. In local system, Sweta ma'am, API client object has no attribute space. Ma'am, please make sure, I will show you. In that way you have written. Firstly, you need to be authenticate with the URL and API key. Then client API client WML credentials. Then if you want to check what are the data you stored in which location, basically, so just store it into the variable and you can check. After that, I created a simple function to verifying that if animal underscore deploy will be there, what we want metadata ID. So in that way, I'm getting the space UID. Then after I set this space UID into the default space, which means that if I am going to be deploy my model, so that will be deployed on this particular space called animal underscore deploy. Then please check once. Hope you will not get this error, attribute space error. Please check once with the space like spellings also. Still getting the error, ma'am? Shall I proceed? Shall I proceed, ma'am? I think it's clear now. Yeah, fine. Now after this, I just want to verify with the software specification. So I'm just simply create one variable called software underscore space UID is equals to client dot software. It's dot basically, it's not slash. Client dot. I'm adding multiple cells, so it will goes on to the top. So client dot software underscore specifications. Under that specification, I want, suppose I want to deploy my model on TensorFlow. So in which version we can deploy our model? In this version, TensorFlow RT 22.1, Python 3.9. So currently we are also using the runtime as 3.9, so the same version. So this UID I need to be like this name I need to be passed to fetch this UID that is allocated for this software specification. Yes, I will increase the font size once again. I think it's now it's fine. So I'm just writing client dot software underscore specifications dot get underscore UID, and by name I want to find out. And just paste here TensorFlow RT 22.1 Python 3.9 version. So this is the software specification we are going to be used to deploy our deep learning model. So if I run this, so what I will get? I will get this UID, software specification UID. This is ACD9. If I run this and I want to see the space UID, if I copy here and paste it, I will get the information. So this space UID I am going to be used as a software, because we also need to be tell to our client or to our model that we are going to be use Python version as a software. This is how like we created software space UID. Now the main step comes where we are going to be deploy our model on client repository. So how we can do that? Simply write model underscore details that is equals to client dot repository dot we are going to be store the model, and we need to be give our model name. So model name means you need to be given the GIF format basically. So TGZ as a like as a format we are going to be take. So I'm just writing like animal hyphen classification. In that I want to save my model dot TGZ, and I also need to be define meta properties. I'm just writing meta underscore props meta props that is equals to here I need to be write the name of the model. Meta props. Here I'm just writing like client dot repository dot model meta name. Model meta names I need to be defined here. Meta names dot name of the model. What is the name? What is the name of that model? Name in capital basically. Name colon, and in double quotes you need to be give the name. So I'm just giving the name as like CNN model building. You can give the name as, you can give the same name also, and you, if you want, you can change the name itself. CNN model building, give comma again. Again you need to be right client dot repository dot, I'm just copying it, paste it here, and here I just need to be write the type. Which type? So currently the version which we are using for the TensorFlow, that is like TensorFlow hyphen underscore 2.7. So here the type of the model which we are going to be deploy is TensorFlow underscore 2.7 version model. After that, you also need to be assigned the software spec ID, software specification ID. So I'm just writing like software underscore spec underscore UID. That is equals to this software space UID. Again, I will tell you. Listen one more time, dear faculties. Here we create a software space UID, which means we are using Python 3.9 version along with the TensorFlow runtime 22.1 version, which is under the IBM service, IBM software specification. We are getting the IBM software specification ID. After that, model details, we need to be store our model. So what's your model name? Our model name is animal classification.tgj. Meta properties we need to be assigned. So what are the meta properties we have? We have client.repository model.meta name. So you need to be assign the name of that model. So CNN model building. Type, which type? So TensorFlow 2.7 version. And in which software specification you are running it, under that div like Python 3.9 and TensorFlow runtime 22.1 version. If you run this, okay, sorry, it's colon basically. So it takes some time. It's basically software underscore spec underscore UID colon software underscore space underscore UID. So why we are getting this error? Animal classification.tgj, because we save the model. We save the model here, but we not stored it and make a GIF file for that. That's why we are getting an error, right? We save the model here with the name called animal.h5. Here we save the model here and we load it, but we didn't save it the tar file basically. So what I need to do in this case to remove this error, because it is not getting the model path. Model path means this particular location. So what I need to do before this step, you have to add one more cell, and here we are going to be save the model into a GIF file or a tar file basically. So how we can save it? Just simply exclamation sign tar you need to be right. Then after hyphen ZC VF, and after that you need to give the same name. So I'm just giving the name as animal hyphen classification dot tgj And under that, what you want to store? I want to store animal.h5. Animal.h5. If I run this, before that, I will show you also the ls part. If I run ls, so right now we have animal.h5 file and dataset folder. If I run this now, I will be able to save my model in this GIF file, and the same GIF file I will be give the path as a model. Now, if I am running ls, I will get the information related with this tar file itself. My tar file is saved also. I'm also getting the model file name and the dataset folder. Now, if I run this, my model details will be stored it into the deployment model basically. So here you can see now we are not getting any error because we didn't save this file directly. We just passed it at this file. We want to store our model. From this file, we want to deploy our model on IBM Cloud Platform. Till now, it's clear. If it's still facing any issues, please let me know once in the chat. Dear faculties. Done till now? Okay. Now we are moving on to the final step for IBM deployment. And that is basically, we need to be get the model ID. Get the model ID. So how we can get? Just simply write like model underscore ID that is equals to client dot repository dot get underscore UID. Get underscore model, because we are saving the model right now. We want model ID. So get model underscore ID, and how we will get this model underscore ID? From this model details. In this model, we store the model basically. So you just need to be passed here and run this. After that, I want this model ID, in which ID it is stored. So just paste it and simply run. So now we are getting a model ID. In this model ID, our deep learning animal classification model saved into this particular model ID. So hope it's clear till now. How many of you are getting the model ID? How many of you are getting the model ID? Yes, it will be different for all. It's a unique model ID. Now what we want to download the model in local system. We want to download the model. It's unique identification ID. This is for model ID. Model ID means in this model ID, your animal classification dot, which means your tar file, which contains animal.h5 model, that gonna store it into model details. What I want this model details ID. So that is stored it into this particular ID. So how many of you are getting successfully? Please let me know. If you're still facing any issues, let me know once. I think it's done now. Done till this point. Okay, fine. Now what I want to download this model. Which model I am talking about? This animal classification model in my local system. So how can I do that? So this is the end part, like we deployed our model successfully. If you want to test it, whether your model is deployed on IBM Cloud or not, and you want to download it, so how you can check? Just simply write like client dot repository dot download. You need to be passed this model ID. Whatever is stored it into this model ID, you want to download it. And you can also give your unique name now. So I want to give the unique name as animal.tar.gv. This is the extension for the zip file basically, and run this. It takes some time because the size is in this case, the size is huge. So now you can see successfully saved model content to file animal.tar.gv in this particular location. If I want to write ls, here you can see I'm also getting this tar file, which I access after deploying the model. Download model pass. In chat, please. Yes, I will share this. So I hope you all are getting the same information right now. If you go back to your deployment space and refresh it, you can see right now at that time it's 0.0 bytes. How much size it is right now? How much size in your case? Maybe slight different. It's 97 MB model. It's a 97 MB model, 97.35. So which means that we are successfully deployed our model on IBM Cloud Platform. Successfully deployed. From manage, you will understand, because if you deploy a machine learning model, you will get the information here. But for deep learning model, you will get the information. Like if you are able to download it, it means that your model is successfully deployed on IBM. So I hope you all successfully deployed the model on IBM. Now we are proceeding to download the model from local system. So I'm requesting to all the faculties to launch the Jupyter Notebook. I'm requesting, and I'm also requesting to the mentors to share the project folder with the faculties also. So I'm sharing my local system folder. So under this folder, you can create any folder. So I created a folder with name called Animal Species Classification. Under that, I have a Flask folder which contains static files, template file, and upload files. Now what we are going to do is we need to deploy our model. We deployed our model on IBM. Now what we want to download it. Once we download, we need to be integrated with the Flask application. So how we can do that? We need to create a notebook in local system where we are going to be install Watson machine learning. Then we save the model into the same folder. So I'm just taking this folder where I am going to be save the model. So what I need to do, I need to be launch a Jupyter notebook in this place. So I'm just sharing my entire screen now. So here in the search bar, after you install Anaconda prompt successfully, Anaconda Navigator, you just simply write Anaconda prompt in the search bar and simply open it Once you open, you are as a base user, and under that, this is the default place where your Anaconda prompt is installed. Now, what I want to go into this particular location where I want to create a notebook file for download the model. So what I need to do, I just simply select here to select the entire path, press Ctrl C to copy it, go to your Anaconda prompt. First of all, in which location this folder is present. In my case, it is in E location, if like E disk. What I need to do, firstly, I need to be change the disk. So how can I change the disk? E colon. If I write E colon and hit enter, sorry, it's E colon, hit enter, I will be enter into the E disk right now. E colon. Now here, what I need to do, I just need to be write CD for change the directory. Whatever I copied the path, I just need to be paste it and hit enter. If I hit enter, I will enter into this particular folder. Now what I want to launch Jupyter Notebook to download the data, download the model basically, not data, download the model from IBM. So what I need to do, I just need to be right here, Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. So please write down here as Jupyter Notebook. So once you write into this particular folder, I want to launch the Jupyter Notebook. So once I click on that, my Jupyter Notebook will be launched. This is the path I need to be copied. And I will come back into the browser right now. And I'm adding, I hope you all already familiar with how to launch the Jupyter. So right now, I'm in this page. So how many of you are in the same page right now? Home page, it's launched successfully, I hope. Yes, I'm waiting. Done. Okay. So I hope you all launched successfully the Jupyter Notebook. Now we have an option in the top menu bar as new. Click on that for creating a new notebook file. Click on Python. Once you click on Python, you also need to be give the name. So in place of untitled and double click, I'm just writing here as downloading IBM Deployment model. So I'm just writing downloading IBM Deployment model and rename. So how many of you successfully created a notebook? How many of you successfully created a notebook? Done. Correct. Fine. Now we are going to be install IBM Watson machine learning in our local system. We need to install IBM because at that time we install IBM Watson machine learning in IBM Watson Studio platform, IBM Cloud platform basically. Now we need to be installed in local system because anyhow, whatever the code we written, almost the same code we need to be copied from here and paste it there simply to download the model. So what I need to do in this case, I have to install this library, Watson machine learning. So how can I do that? Just simply write here as pip install IBM underscore Watson underscore machine underscore learning and shift enter to install this library. In my case, it's already installed, so it takes few minutes. In your case, it takes few minutes time. and it will install in your local system. So pip install IBM underscore Watson underscore machine underscore learning. You need to be installed in your local system. So I hope you install it successfully, or still it's installing. Please give me the confirmation once in the chat. Please give me the confirmation once in the chat. Installing. Okay, fine. So in the meanwhile, it is installing, go back to your IBM Cloud Platform Jupyter Notebook. You return there IBM Watson Machine Learning Import API client. Copy this particular cell. Just copy this particular cell where your URL and API key is there. Yes, I'm waiting. I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah. So I'm waiting right now. Okay, fine. So now I hope you all install successfully the IBM Watson Machine Learning Service, dear faculties. Now you go back to your IBM Cloud Watson Studio. I have kernel error in my Jupyter. Do one thing, sir. In that case, Manish sir, go launch another Anaconda prompt, and from Anaconda prompt you can just install it, and then launch the Jupyter notebook, please. So now go to your IBM Watson notebook and copy this cell where you written IBM Watson machine learning, because anyhow from local system also you need to be authenticate. This is how like we are utilizing IBM cloud service from local system itself. So whatever you written here, just copy it, come back to your code, reconnect basically. Fine, no issue. I'm just paste it here and just simply run this cell. Copy the code. I think I closed the Anaconda prompt. Just give me a minute. Sorry for the inconvenience. Just a minute. In the meanwhile, please copy the code once. In the meanwhile, please copy the code once from the Watson Studio notebook. I just again need to be open this because I closed that Anaconda prompt. So that is why. So I installed this successfully. After that, I'm just authenticate with this. So I'm just copy from the IBM Watson Studio notebook. This is for the authentication purpose only with the API client to the IBM Cloud platform. So it takes some time. Yeah, so it's now authenticated successfully. Now what I want, go back to your IBM once again. Now API client, you need to be validated with WML credentials. Copy this, come back to your local system, paste it, and run this. Ma'am, it's not installed successfully. That is why. Do one thing, please restart the kernel once again. Once you install it, go to the kernel and click on restart, and then after directly run this particular cell. So my client is now verified. Now the code I written here for space name, just simply copy from here, because we are downloading the whatever the code we written into IBM Watson Studio notebook, we are going to be download from local system. So in the next step, just copy that function, paste it here and run it. Then after, if you want to know about your space GUID, you can just simply copy this and paste it here to check. Yeah, so it is verifying easily. All the things are authenticated successfully. Now what I want to set the default space. So here also I set the default space UID as default space. I'm copying it, come back to the code, paste it here. So this is how like I will set the default space as animal_deploy, where we already deployed the model. Now what is the next step? Now we need to be download the file. So where it will download? In the same folder where you launch your Jupyter notebook, your model tar file will be generated, which means a GIF file, your tar file, which you need to be extract with the help of any extractor for tar file of a GIF file in your local system. So here I'm just writing like client.set.default space as a space UID as success. Now what I need to do is just need to be write like client dot. From IBM, I am going to be download the model in my local system with this particular cell. I hope it's visible now. Client.repository dot download. At that time, we gave the name as model ID. But right now, what we want, instead of model ID, what we need to do, we need to be copy the output of model ID, which means unique model ID we need to be copy from IBM platform, and then go back to your Jupyter notebook. Here in double quotes, you need to be passed it, the model ID. After that, you can give any name. So I'm giving the name for the tar file as animal hyphen classification dot tar dot gz. And if I run this, it will take some time. Why? Because the model size is 97 MB. So this is how like we deployed the model on IBM Cloud Platform and access it or download it through local system. It takes few minutes. Why? Because model size is around like 97 MB. So it takes some time to download based on the internet speed. So how many of you are successfully download the model in the local system from IBM platform? Yeah, dear faculties. Yeah. So right now I'm also getting, now I'm getting a message as successfully saved model content to the file with this name, and this is my location in local system. IBM Build-A-Thon animal species classification. I'm getting an animal hyphen classification dot tar dot gz. Scroll up. Yeah, definitely I will scroll up. So how many of you successfully download the model in your local system? So now I'm just sharing my entire screen right now. Yes, I will show. Pip install, you will get the message like this, and some warnings also you will get in this case. You need to be restart the kernel to update the package. And then after, we run the API client to verifying it, then create a space name, a function basically, to deploy our model, like to access the model from IBM Cloud Platform. So I hope, dear faculties, you also able to download the model in your local system. How many of you are able to do that? Yes, please let me know how many of you are successfully load the model, download the model. Yeah, dear faculties, I hope you all download the model successfully. May I get the quick confirmation once in the chat? Shall we proceed to the next step? Fine. So I'm sharing the entire screen right now for the folder. So in this particular folder, I download my model. So model is animal classification.tar.gz, correct? Fine, thank you. So here you can see we are having a tar file. If I double click on that, I need to be extract this file. So I have an extractor already. So my model is saved with animal h5. I just need to be click on this extract to and click on local disk key. So if I save it, instead of local disk key, I'm just extracting once again. I'm selecting the same folder and click on OK. So my model will be saved into the same folder location. So here you can see one more folder is created, and the folder name is animal-classification. Here you can see animal-classification animal.h5. So how many of you extracted successfully, dear faculties? How many of you successfully fine? So this is how like we are extracting the model into the local system. And I hope you all receive the Flask folder. I hope you all received the Flask folder, like mentors already shared it. I hope you all received it. I hope you all received it. Yeah, fine. So please extract it. So here you can see we are having a static folder in that. How many of you are successfully extract this file, the Flask folder which is shared by the mentors? Fine. We have multiple folder. One is static folder which contains two different files. I will come back to the Flask once. So I will explain you JavaScript and CSS folder we have. Template folder contain index.html. So in that you don't need to be write a code for that. We already have the template, because writing a code for HTML, CSS, it will take a lot of time. So we directly share those files with you. We have an upload folder where user will upload the files from the whatever the file is selected, that files will be uploaded here. And this is our model which we extracted from the IBM. Now what we need to do? Now the next step is we have to create an user interface. So how we can create an user interface? We need to use an like Flask as a back framework. I'm just sharing my screen. So which part is done now? Till now, deployment, deep learning model, and download the model from IBM Cloud Platform. We successfully downloaded in the local system. I hope it's clear till now. All the faculties present here. Fine. Now we need to create an web application using Flask, which supported like Python 3 version. So why we go for the Flask? And like Flask as a web framework, there are lots of other frameworks as well. So we understand what is Flask, how we can create a web application using Flask. The model which we download from the IBM Cloud Platform, that is animal.h5. That model we need to be integrated with the Flask application. Then after, based on that model, we are going to be evaluate on the web page. So which use case? The same use case, animal species image classification using Flask web framework. Now, what is Flask? So Flask is a small and lightweight Python web framework that basically provides useful tools and the important features that makes creating the web applications in the Python very easy. And it also gives the developer flexibility. It is more accessible framework for the new developers because it's very easy. So that is why for creating a micro web, creating a small application, we always try to prefer Flask as a web framework. Flask is also extensible, and it is basically like if you want to enhance your Flask compatibility, you can also use like Bootstrap to style your application. So it is more visually appealing. So how we can install Flask? So to use Flask, you need to be install the library, and the library you have to be installed with the help of pip install command. And you just need to be write like pip install Flask. Why? Because we are going to be build a web application for animal species classification. For that purpose, we need to be install a Flask, because with the help of Flask, we can create a lightweight application. So for this Flask framework, you need to be download. Yes, you can use tkinter, but Flask basically provide you the better support in comparison to the tkinter library. With the help of Flask, you can also integrate the Bootstrap to enhance the properties of the Flask or your web application page. With the help of Bootstrap, you can create an application that looks more appealing. So that is why Flask has rich properties in comparison to the tkinter library, because we use Flask as a web framework. Now Flask is based on what? Flask is based on Workzure and Jinja 2 template. So what exactly it is? This is like web server gateway interface, that is known as WSGI. WSGI is nothing but this is an standard for Python web application development, and it considered as I am come back to Django and Flask and other framework as well. Rukla. So it is basically considered as the specification for the universal interface for the web server. That is why its name is known as WSGI. WSGI stands for Web Server Gateway Interface. In that, We have like Jinja 2 also, that is for template engine basically. Jinja 2 is a BAP template engine which combines a template. Template is nothing but your HTML page. In Flask, we have an HTML pages, we have CSS file, we have JavaScript file, we have multiple images. So how we can render those things and how we can create a dynamic web pages. So with the help of Jinja 2 template, we can combine the template with certain data source to render the dynamic web pages, which can enhance the properties of the Flask web framework. Now, other Python web frameworks. So Python web framework, as we know, like it's a collection of the packages or the modules that allow the developers to create a web application or create a web application services. In that case, developers don't need to handle the low-level details such as the protocols, sockets, process, and thread management. So Python web framework will help us in this case to interpreting the request, getting form parameters. Form means we have a form like user ID, password, name of the employee. Suppose if we take an example for the employee in this case, or a student, in a student case if we talk about, so there is student name, roll number, student ID, student in which semester. So if you want to interpret those requests, getting form parameters, so Python web framework basically help us. It can also produce the responses and that present the data as an HTML or in other formats. It also stores the data persistently and other things as well. Now come to the other Python frameworks basically that are used in the market, such as like Flask, Web2Py, Pyramid, Bottle, Django, and many others. So Python has some full stack frameworks also. Full stack frameworks in Python is one which attempts to provide a complete solution for your application, which provides a complete solution for your applications, and it attempts to supply the components for each layer in the stack. So suppose we have a Django. So Django is nothing but a Python web framework that is used by perfectionists, or you can say that like professionals with the deadlines, because of you can build a better web applications in very less time and in very less code also. But using Django in comparison to Flask is bit difficult because Django is more focused on automation part. Django is basically originally developed for content management system. It is now used for many kind of web applications. It is because of its templating, because of its automatic database generation, like SQLite, database access layers, and automatic admin interface generation. It also provides a web server for the development usage. So it is mainly used by the professionals because Django is bit difficult than the Flask web framework. So many organizations such as like Instagram, Pinterest, Mozilla Firefox, and many other big companies, those who are using Django as a web framework for their website and providing services to the user with their platform. We have Web2Py. So Web2Py is another Python web framework where you can deploy, develop, debug, test your code, and administer the database, and also maintain the application via the provided web interface. You don't need to install anything. You can use Web2Py web framework into the web interface. You don't need to configure any file. You can even no need to be install any single file in that case. You can directly use Bab2Py. It's provide an platform to you to use that, utilize the Bab2Py services to creating an web applications. We have many others, like we have one called Tornado also. Tornado is also not that much famous, where you can scale it and also handle 10,000s of open connection at a time. So it makes for a perfect framework for BAP sockets and other uses needing for connection building. So we majorly focus on the Flask now, because Flask is a non-full stack framework. It comes under in that category. It basically provides the base application server. This either run as its own independent process. So we are having like Bottle, Python Bottle basically. What Bottle is? So Bottle is a simple and fast web framework that you can use to create a small web application. And it also provides requests for dispatching the routes, parameters, templates. Templates is nothing but like in templates folder we store HTML files. And it also built-in it also has an built-in HTTP server. This is all in a single file basically. There are no dependencies except the Python standard library for in the case of Python Bottle. Now if we talk about Python Flask. So Flask is a micro web framework. It includes a built-in development server for unit testing support. And it also enabled with RESTful request dispatching and web survey gateway interface compliance. Flask will be useful when you want to develop a small, simple web applications where you can operate your database. So Flask is basically used by many of the big companies and you all are familiar with that. You are also using those websites such as like LinkedIn and Pinterest is built over the top of Flask web framework. So this is how like different Python web framework that are in the market, which we gonna use for building a web application. Now, framework for building web application in Python, like if you want to see this hello world into the platform basically, like in your browser. So how you can do that? You want an URL. And what is that URL? URL is nothing but an identification for that particular website. In the same way, if you want to write down that hello world and showcase into the web application, so in that case, you just need to be simply write this code. And if you want to host this code onto the Python web application server, you need to be call this HTML page, which is stored it into the templates folder. I will come to all these things. I will show you like how this thing works. After that, why we are going for the Flask? So I told you like it's written in Python. You can import only what you need, whatever you want to import. Suppose you want to import Flask service only, you can import that particular library. If you want to, if you have a request form, suppose form where user will provide their details. So in that case, you can import the specific part of it. You can handle the large applications also in that case. So Flask is basically used for creating a small web application, and it also used for creating a large application. Now, I hope it's clear till now. All the dear faculties present here. I hope it's clear till now why we are going for the Flask. And Flask is basically a web framework. it's fine. Now, before writing a Flask application, what you need to do? First of all, I prefer go for the Flask. If you understand the Flask web application, web framework, you will move on to the Django in that. After that, move on to the Django. So Django is basically for use for the production level of it. So before writing a Flask application, you need to be install a Python, so which you already installed. You need to install a virtual environment. If you want, you can create a virtual environment. You can also create a directory for your web application. So we already shared the link. I hope you all downloaded in your local system. Animal specification class, animal species classification folder. If you want to activate, so in our case, we don't need to do this step right now. Building a web application using the Flask. So here you can see we will build a web application that we are going to be integrate a model which we built on IBM Cloud Platform, where our user will come to the page and upload the image for prediction. The uploaded image are given to our saved model. Our saved model is what? Animal H5 file basically. With the help of that saved model, the prediction will be showcased into the UI. So this section has two steps, two tasks basically. One is server-side scripting, which means your Python Flask application file. And another one is like building the HTML pages. So in our case, we don't need to build an HTML page. You can download Bootstrap also. You can also write an HTML page, not an issue. But today because we don't have that much time, so that's why we shared the HTML pages with you. We are going to write a server-side scripting. After that, for building an HTML page, we have an upload image page where we are taking an input from the user as a file, such as like JPG, PNG, or JPEG file. Output basically retrieving the output from the model that will be displayed on the output page, on the same page basically. We are going to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file for building the web pages, and Python web scripting file for Flask application. After that, in order to develop a web application with respect to our model, we basically use Flask web framework. We have to initialize the Flask application, load the deep learning H5 model. We are going to be routing and rendering the HTML pages. We can call the input page, which means image HTML page. We are going to predict the values by passing the data into the model, and based on that, our result will be showcased into the HTML page. By default, the port number that is assigned for Flask is 5000, and default host for Python Flask is 127.0.0.1. So in that host name, basically, our local host basically is 127.0.0.1. So if you want to run the application, you need to open the Anaconda prompt, navigate to the file application. You need to type, suppose if you have a Python Flask application file with the name as app.py, you need to run with that name, and you will be redirect onto your web page that will run onto the host that is 127.0.0.1:5000. In this particular server URL, your application will be run. So I hope it's clear till now. Please give me the quick confirmation. So we will proceed with our web application. Please let me know once the confirmation in the chat. Dear faculties, please give me the confirmation once in the chat. So we will proceed with the Flask application. I hope you all fine. So now I want from I'm requesting to all the faculties present here to launch your Spider or any IDE which you install in your local system. So this is for the Flask. Now we are going to understand how to write a code for Flask. So I'm requesting to all the faculties present here to go to your search bar and write here as Spider if you install Anaconda Navigator in your local system. If you have any other IDE, so please launch that IDE. So I'm launching Spider IDE right now. I have this folder called Animal Species Classification Flask. You also need to be open this folder. I will explain you about the files which we have in this particular project. So I'm launching the Spider ID. I'm requesting to the faculties present here, please launch the Spider IDE. Please launch the Spider IDE once. I'm requesting to all the faculties present here, please launch Spider IDE once. So in the meanwhile, at that time, like Spider will take few minutes to launch it. Once it's launched, so in the meanwhile, I will explain you about the different files which we have. So one is the static folder. So in Flask, basically there is a structure. In Flask, if you want to store your CSS or JavaScript files, so in that case, what you need to do is you have to create a separate folder, one for CSS, that is cascading style sheet, and another one for JavaScript, if you are using JavaScript in your case. If you are downloading any bootstrap from like web browser, you don't need to create a CSS file, you don't need to create a JavaScript file. I will like my Spider is now launched. I will show you. I'm just closing these files because these are not necessary right now. So how many of you successfully launch a Spider in your local system? How many of you successfully launch Spider or any other IDE? So Spider is nothing but an IDE, that is integrated development environment. With the help of a Spider, we can write a code in Python. So as a Spider IDE, we are going to be write a Python Flask code for our animal classification. So it's an open source cross platform, that is to write a Python language code. With the help of that, we can create a Flask application. So we are going to be proceed with the Flask application now. So for that, if you are able to see here, we have an interface like this. In the top navigation, you can see we have a file option. If you want to create a new file, so you also have a shortcut here, Control N for creating a new file, and like different other options such as like open last close file, save file, save all, save as, save copy. I hope you all are familiar with the IDE. So without wasting the time, I will proceed with the code for Flask application. So these are the shortcuts for running the application into the Spider platform. So now what I want to create an Python script, Python Flask script for that particular project, animal class species classification. So we already shared the file with you. So here in the right hand side top, you have two different options. One is to change the parent directory, another one is to browse a working directory. So what I need to do, I want to browse a directory. So simply click on that. You will get a pop-up. I will share my entire screen now. You will get a pop-up like this. Go to your folder. I will go onto local disk E. I have a folder called IBM Build-A-Thon. Under that animal species classification. And under that, I have a Flask folder. I need to select this Flask folder and click on select. Once I select, in the top, you will be able to see IBM Build-A-Thon animal species classification / Flask. Now, I want to see all the files. How can I see? If you want to know, so there are three different interface. Basically, one is to write a code. Another one is a console where you can get the information related with your files. Like you can also take the help to understand more about the like Spider, and you can also check the variable explorer and also see the information. So I want to see the files. If I click on files option, I will get all the files that are presented here. So that are presented here, I will be able to see all the files. And in the like right side bottom, you will see the option called where you can, if you run your application, you will get all the information related with your project in this console. So now what we are going to do, we have to create a Python script file. We have to create a Python script file. So how we can do that? So first of all, I want to create a file here, app.py file. What exactly app.py file and all, we will discuss. So if you want to create a file, you have to just simply, either you can go back to this folder and select the folder once again. Like suppose I select this, then I will go back to the folder such as like IBM Build-A-Thon. I will go to the IBM Build-A-Thon. I select animal species and I select this folder. Once I select, I will go back to the files. Now I want to create a file. Where I want to create a file? I want to create a file in Flask folder. So I can just simply right click here. I have an option called new. If I click on new, I will get multiple options like file, folder, Python file, and Python package. So I will click on Python file. I need to give the name. So I'm just giving the name as app.py. So app.py is what? Python Flask script, which we stored it into app.py file. I save it. Now you can see one more file added into this folder. That name is called app.py. So here you can see we are having an app.py file right now. So I don't want this code. So how many of you created an app.py file successfully? How many of you created successfully app.py file also in the same folder? Created, fine. Now what we are going to do? We are going to create an application like this. I will show you first. I'm going on to my local system. We have a templates folder. In templates folder, I'm just click on and go to the Google. So here you can see our index.html along with CSS and JavaScript, how it looks like this. We don't write any code for the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We are only writing a code for Flask application. You can download HTML, CSS, JavaScript images, any bootstrap. If you will download, you will be able to see. So this is the page which we are going to be utilized for our Flask application. In that you can see animal classification using CNN, animal classification, some information related with this. One image are there. And after that, we have an option called upload image here to identify the animal. Our user will choose the file from here and they will get an option called predict. Once they click on predict, the prediction will be displayed in the same page, but with the help of our model, which we downloaded from IBM Cloud Platform. So I hope it's clear. Clear to all? Faculties present here. Okay, fine. Now we go back to the spider. Now we need to write a code for that. So what is the code we have to be write? So here you need to be import some necessary libraries. What are those libraries? Import numpy as np. We are importing numpy here in the same way. We are utilizing operating system. Also we are operating utilizing this library. Right now we are getting a warning just because of that it's not used yet. So that's why we are getting an error like this. Warning like this. Now we need to be import which library? You seen here. I will show you in our Jupyter notebook. Just like in last session, if I want to load my model, what I did on last day, I import these libraries, import numpy as np. We are testing the model here. Now we are doing the same thing, but with integrate with the Flask application. So you need to be import these two libraries also, load model and image. So how we can do that? Go here, just simply write like from TensorFlow dot keras dot models. You need to be import load underscore model. Please import this. In the same way, we are going to be import from TensorFlow dot keras dot pre-processing. We are going to be import image because image type of data we have. After this, what we are going to do? We are going to be import Flask. From Flask, I am going to be import. This is why it's a Flask application file. So we need to be import a Flask. If you install successfully, just simply write like from Flask. We need to be import Flask. We also need to be import other things. So I will be import when it will be on use. So from Flask, I import the Flask as well. Now after that, what I need to do? I need to create a constructor for the Flask or initialize our application. Initialize our application where in the parameter we need to be pass the name. So our application name will be app, suppose. So I'm just writing app as a variable. App is equals to creating a constructor for the Flask. Under that, I just need to be pass name here. So this will be my Flask application name. So here we initialize and name as app. So if I want to run this application, what I need to do? I need to write app.run. Why? Because app is our model. App is our application basically. Understand how we initialize our Flask application? This is how we create a Flask class object. Understand? Now we are loading our model. So my model name is animal.h5, which we downloaded from IBM. Model is equals to load underscore model from this library we are talking about. Load underscore model. I am going to be load the model and my model name is animal.h5. Animal.h5 model. Model is animal.h5. After this, after you load the model, I stored it into model variable. I initialize my application with app. After that, I am going to be root my application. What is root? If suppose I will go to the browser basically. If I will go to my browser, and I will show you any website. Suppose SmartInternz. We have SmartInternz.com. This is our website. If how I am redirect onto this page, this is the home page. Basically, how I am redirecting in this page, because I know the name. And if I enter the name, enter the URL, I will be redirect onto this page. This is the default page. This is the home page of this website. If suppose I want to go for challenges, or if I want to go for extensive, so if I click onto this button, now in which page I am redirecting? I am redirect onto this page. This is my route, smartinterns.com/extensive section. So in this particular section right now, I'm redirecting. Firstly, when I just return the URL, I will redirect onto the home page. When I click onto this extensive button, I am redirecting onto this page. This is my route basically. This is my route, which means we are redirect onto this particular page. So how we are redirecting? So we have only one page, as I show you. This is our only page. So this is the home page for us. So how we can do that? Go back to the spider. Here, you need to be initialize the decorator. The decorator app. App is what? This application. My application name is app right now. App.root function. Root means where you want to redirect. I want to redirect into backslash. Backslash means home page. Whenever I call my Flask server, in that case, it will be redirect me onto this backslash page, which means the home page of my application. Now, root function basically defines the URL mapping of the associated function. Right now, we are redirect onto this page. If you have multiple pages, so in that case, we have extensive, correct? So /extensive, in that way they return. Right now we are having only one page, so backslash I'm just written. Slash is only there. Now after this, we need to be defined. We have which file? If you go to the templates folder, you have index.html. I will also show you this file, don't worry. So what we need to do? We need to be write a function, def index function. In this function, it will be redirect. And this function will redirect where? So we need to be written the function. It returns render template. What is render template? Render template means we are in Flask basically, we need to create a templates folder, and templates folder contain the HTML files. This is the structure for Flask basically. Static folder contains all the all the CSS, JavaScript, and image related files, and templates folder contain HTML files. If you don't have an HTML templates folder, you will get an error. So this is why we written the name as templates here. This is the mandatory file if you have an HTML file in your case. So this is the mandatory folder, templates. So we are rendering the template onto index.html. So if I passed it here, so what I need to do? I need to be write index.html. But why I'm getting an error? I need to be import render template. So from where I can import it? I can import from Flask. This is the functionality of a Flask. So render template, I made it. If I save this file, okay. Now I want to redirect onto this page. So how can I do that? So for that purpose, we are not writing anything right now. We are not writing any main code for uploading the project. We are going to be run our application. So how we can run the application? Every application should have a main function. Main function we need to be defined. So how we can define? So in this case, we need to be write if name. So we initialize the name in the top. If this name is equals to underscore main, then what I want? I want to run application. App.run function we have. Under that, you can pass diva. if debug is equals to false, so what happened in this case? If debug is equals to false in this parameter, you need to be, whatever the changes in the app.py file you did, you need to be saved and rerun again. If your debug is equals to true, whatever the changes you made in this file, that will directly reflect in your web page or in your application. So I'm just saving this file right now. I saved it. Now I want to redirect onto this page to show you. Currently, here you can see, currently we are running from local system. I run directly this HTML file, but I want to run it into the server. So how can I do that? With the help of app.run. App.run, you have other parameters such as like host is equals to 127.0.0.1, but this is the default one, so you don't need to be right. So I save it. These warnings we are getting right now. Why? Because we are not utilizing those libraries. So if I click onto this run button, here in the right hand side, bottom console, you will see, because we are using TensorFlow, so here CUDA is basically loading right now. So this is a warning. You can ignore this warning. It takes some time. Once it's load this model successfully with the help of this library, we will only redirect onto this page. We just want to see how this will look like. Then after, we will create another function which can use our animal.h5, which model we created on over the IBM platform, to predict the outcomes. So here you can see I am getting an URL http://127.0.0.1:5000. I had written anything related with 127 faculties. I didn't written anything 127.0.0. So I told that this is basically the default host, and default port number for Python Flask is 5000. So this is the identification for redirect onto this index.html page. So here in this example, you see I written SmartInternz.com. Anyhow, it is mapped with the IP address. In the same way, if I want to redirect on, if I want to run my application, my Flask application, what I need to do? I need to give the URL. So 127.0.0.1:5000. If I select this and hit enter, I will be redirected to this page. So here you can see it is running top of the Flask server, and the previous one we are getting this choose file option in not in the proper way. But here why we are getting? Because in server we have CSS and JavaScript. So this file is currently running onto the server. Here you can see we are getting a message as HTTP 200, which means we are not getting any error. We are getting response yes here, which means successful response we are getting 200. So how many of you are getting 200 as a response? And you also like redirect onto this page. How many of you run successfully the Flask application for till now? So in this application, we are giving an option to the user to click onto this choose option. They can choose the image from here. Suppose I select any image. Suppose I select this image. Select it here and click on open. And this will open here. This preview option comes. How this preview will come? This preview option comes from the JavaScript. I also embed the JavaScript into this particular web page. You can also download the bootstrap. N number of bootstraps are present in the market. You can download it from there. And if I click on predict, my model will give the output. But right now, we don't have that function to click on, like we click on to predict, but nothing will be predict in this case, because we don't have any function for that. We are not utilizing right now. We initialize the model of it. So now what is the next step? Now what is the next step? Next step is to create a root function. But before that, I will also show you index.html file. This is our index.html file, where you can see I'm not writing anything. This is the bootstrap we are using. These are the CDN basically. If I want to use this main.css in Flask, what I need to do, I told you we have a Jinja template. So this URL_for function you need to be used to connect with those files. Under URL, here you can see, if I increase the size, if I want to use this main.css file, I cannot directly load like this, link href and directly give the path of this file. What I need to do, because we are working on Python Flask, we have a Jinja template. So this is the like double curly braces. Under that, we are using URL_for function. URL_for function is to like find out those files in this particular location. Static, we have a static folder. Under that file name where it's present, under css/main.css, this file we are talking about. So this is the Jinja template. In that way, we can access those files. In the same way, if you want to utilize JavaScript, so in the bottom I used it, URL_for static, file name is equals to, under JavaScript folder we have main.js, and its type is text/JavaScript. It comes under script tag. So this is a part of JavaScript. We majorly focus on the Python Flask code. Here you can see, I'm just giving you the overview how this page looks like. Background color, we are taking this, result is this, and background image is basically wallpaper access. We are having this. After that, we are having animal classification using CNN. So this is statement is written there, correct? After that, the main important thing is we have this option, upload image to identify the animal. This I am talking about right now. Upload image here to identify the animal. We have choose option, preview option, and predict option. So how it looks like, here you can see we are having choose option, correct? Now see the form. This is the form we have. This forms, and here form action is what? HTTP localhost 500. This is the default page. Upload file ID I'm creating here. So whatever the file I upload, there will be an ID for that. Method is which type of method we are using? Post method, which means that confidential information. Image is very confidential. If we are not sending the sensitive data, in that case we can go with the GET request. Encryption type is basically multi-part form data, because it's again a form data. After image upload, we have accept PNG, JPG, and JPEG format. Then we are having a div class called image section. All these CSS presented here, image preview code, everything. Image preview code is there, image preview div code, input file, upload label, how it looks like. So display, padding, background, all the information related with this. In index.html, image preview. So where it will go? It will go onto this particular tag, image preview. Okay. Now in index.html, when user will click onto the predict button. So what happened next? When user will click onto the predict button, they will be getting the output. From where they will get the output? Go to your app.py. Here we need to be write the code for it. So I hope you understand, you all understand, the faculty is present here, the index.html code and the purpose of JavaScript and CSS here. Because JavaScript and CSS, again, it's very huge. It will take a lot of time to explain. So that's why we shared with you. Now, what we are going to do is, we are going to create a root page, app.root. Under that, now we are having a predict page. Predict, because we are predicting something. Which type of methods? So methods we are taking as gets or post, suppose. So I'm just writing here the get method, or we can go with the post method. but we go with the post method in this case. After that, I am giving the function. So what's my function name? My function name is upload. User will upload the image. This is the function basically we are going to create. Why? Because user will upload the image, choose the image, and then they click. So they will redirect onto which function? If predict will call, so they will redirect onto this function. If predict will call, here we have predict. This will call, this function will be work in this case. So dap upload. If request dot method is equals to a post type of method. So because we written in the HTML page as post, then what happened? It's methods basically. Then what happened in this case? In this case, we have a variable called f that represents file. That is equals to, it will request which type of data? Which type of data we have? We have a file type of data. So request dot files, and under that we need to give the name. So we have an image type of data. Now why we are getting this message like error message? Because we are not importing request here. So from Flask again we need to be import a request also. So now we are not getting it. After that, if you want to print the current path, you can also print the current path itself. So if you want to print no need for that. Now we have a base path. Current path is basically the same location of that file. Base path is what? We have OS dot from operating system. Why? Because we also have one folder called uploads folder. And this uploads folder is basically used to upload the files. Whatever you upload from here, that we are going to be test. We want to test this file only. So where it will save? It will save into uploads folder. That is why we have an uploads folder here. So what I need to do, I need to write like os dot path, because I want local path dot directory name. Directory name, from their directory name, I want file. What I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about this. If I click on choose, this directory will open. If I select any file, so till now we written the code. When we choose a file, so firstly directory will open, directory, so the file will be open in this case. Now what happened next? Now we want file path. Now what we want? We want file path. So I just write here file path, that is equals to os dot path dot, we are joining. What we are joining? Firstly the base path. I will tell you what exactly we are talking about. Base path, comma, I have an uploads folder, so I need to give the name as uploads folder, and along with the file name. So file which we selected here, f dot file name here. Now what happened in this case? If I will go to the IBM code, here you can see what we written here. What is this? This is the folder. The same thing we are writing right now. If user will select this, but dynamically how we have requesting the files. Once we request the file, we have we get the directory name, which is base path we are getting. Under that base path, where you want to upload the file. I want to upload the file into uploads folder. What's that file is? The file which you selected. So in the IBM code itself, you can see I selected images43.jpg. This file I selected, then only I will be able to read it. Yes or no? Yes or no, dear faculties? Yes or no? Please give me the quick confirmation once in the chat. So this is how like we are getting the path. Manually we written here. Now dynamically how we can perform this? How we can dynamically perform this operation to select the image? So for that case, though, for that purpose, basically, we have file path os.path.join. We join the base path, which means folder location. Where you want to upload? I want to upload in uploads folder. What you want to upload? I want to upload the image, what I selected. After that, what happened? After that, I want to save that file also, f.save. So I want to save the file. Which file? The file path. So in this uploads folder, your file will be saved. Your files will be saved. Whatever you choose from here, whatever the files you choose from here, and click onto the predict button, the files will be saved into this particular folder, and that folder name is called uploads folder. Here automatically the files will be saved. Okay. Now what happened next? Now I think we are getting file, correct? Now we are getting file. What happened? What we did in this step? Once we are getting file, we also have to define the target size. We need to be load the image. Load the image. We need to be pass, instead of giving this static path, we need to be give which path? Dynamic path. If same images are uploaded, so it will be like it will be overwrite in that case. So here the same thing we are going to do now. The same code, if you copy from here itself, or instead of copying, if you go into the spider, what you need to do here is you need to create img. Same code we are doing right now. Image dot load underscore image. Instead of giving the static path, what I am doing right now, I am getting the dynamic path, file path. So dynamic path I am passing here. After that, what is my model target size? Model target size we already tested, that is 64,64. So what I need to do, I need to write like 64,64 here. If I am giving the wrong path, wrong target size, I will get an error. So you need to be right here as target size is equals to target underscore size, that is equals to, in the bracket you need to be passed 64,64. So this is how our image is now loaded successfully. How it's loaded, I will show you. In this step we did it. We load the image successfully. This is how our image is now loaded. Now what is the next step? Convert it into an array. After converting into an array, we need to be expand the dimension. Now what after that? We need to be perform the argmax function to get the predicted index, and then after we need to be write down the index name and fetch the result. So this entire code we need to be write. So how we can do that? After loading, we need to be convert the result into an image dot img underscore to underscore array format. So I am just converting the image into an array. So img is my image, this image, whatever the dynamic image I selected. Now what I need to do after this, converting into an array, I have to write x is equals to np dot expand the dimension. Which dimension? X image, axis, that is 0 in this case, the same one. After that, we are going to be predict the outcome. So pred's basically pred I'm just creating. Pred is equals to np dot argmax function. Under that, we have a model. Which model I'm talking about? The model which I loaded here. Model dot predict. What we are predicting? X value. And what I need to pass the another parameter, axis is equals to 1 in that. So the same step I am doing right now. Whatever the step we did here, The same way we are following model.predict x is equals to 1. Now what I want this index. I want this index. So I'm just copying from here. And the next step, I want this index. And this index basically store beer, crows. So in that case, I'm just giving the proper name. So it will looks better. Beer, crow, elephant, and rat. So this is how the index looks like. Now, when my user, our user suppose, click onto this predict button. So in this predict button, in this place, what will be the output? So in IBM Cloud, we are getting directly the output as elephant, y of 0 as elephant. So this elephant, I want to print it here. How can I do that? Go back to your spider. After this, I create a variable called text that is equals to, I'm just defining the classify animal is colon, and then after I want to add a string, because at that time we are getting output here, but it's not converted into a string. I want only this elephant, not the single quotes itself. What I want elephant in that case. So a string I need to be passed. I want to convert this data, this index y of 0 into a string. So how can I do that? A string. Under that string, we have index. This index I'm talking about. What we will get? Pred. So pred of what? We need to be passed in a square bracket. Pred of 0. Pred of 0 basically store elephant, suppose. So elephant is now converted into a string. So what we will get? Only elephant instead of single quotes. Okay. Now after, what I need to do? I need to return this function. So how can I return? I want to return the function as text. Whatever the outcome which we are getting, that will be stored it into this text, and we want to return into the console. Now we have the main function only. So I hope it's clear till now. Now I'm just saving this file. And if I want to rerun this file once again, so what I need to do? I have to close this console, stop the current command, or I can also directly run this. So what I am doing right now, I simply click onto this run, and it is now running the HTTP file right now. Now I will go onto the browser, and if I refresh this page, so I will be in this page right now. What I want to choose the image. I want to choose the image, and I integrate our like IBM model. Go to local disk, wherever your data set is present. So suppose my data set is present in this folder, I will go onto the testing, select the beer image. So suppose if I select beer image as this, or this one, suppose I click on open, this is the beer image. If I click onto the predict button, it takes few minutes of time because it's load the model and showcase the outcome into the UI. So I hope like other faculties, those who are doing parallelly with me, I hope you all are in the same step. May know the confirmation once in the chat. Because the size of the model is used, so that's why it takes few minutes of time to load it. We are getting an error here. If request.methods is equals to quote. So you can also see the trash back here. That's why we are not getting an output. That's why we are not getting an output here. We are getting 500, which means we have some error in the code. So we need to be rectify what exactly it is. Okay, it's not a method, it's basically a method. Request.method. I need to be save this file once again, close this, and rerun once. Now I will go back to the code, refresh it, choose the file. I'm choosing the file, click on open and click on predict. Again, I'm going to check. Load underscore image. Let me check once. Okay, it's not load underscore image basically, it's load underscore img. Then image to array we convert, expand the dimension, argmax. Yeah, fine. Now it's fine. Again, I am interrupting it and rerun. So this is how, if you are getting an error, you will also get the traceback into the right hand side bottom third console. You will get the traceback also to identify where you are getting an error. Now go back to the code, refresh it, choose any different image. So suppose if I'm just choosing this image, click on open and click on predict. Now again I will check. Now 200 I'm getting. So it is like looks like an elephant in this image. Let's see with the different image right now. Looks like an rat. Just give me a minute. Because there are the image which is very compressed. Yeah, now we are getting an beer. So because our accuracy is 86 or 87%, so 87 time we are getting a good result, and 5 to 10 to 13 time we are getting an such type of result. So this is how like we are getting an output as beer right now. So our result is the classified animal is beer in this case. If I will go choose the image for other, basically suppose for crows, and if I select this image suppose, and I want to predict it, so here you can see we are getting an output, classified output as crow in this case. In the same way, you can check with the other images. Suppose rats, if I will go and select this image and I want to predict it. So here you can see we are getting an output, classified output as rat in this case. In the same way, if you want to go for, suppose for elephants. So if we select this image, click on open and go to predict, and we are getting an output as elephant in this. So I hope it's clear till now. Dear faculties, I hope it's clear for all. Dear faculties, I hope it's clear for all. If having any doubts, please let me know. I hope you all are parallelly work with me. Yes, yes, definitely, ma'am. I will show you the local machine Jupyter notebooks then. Just give me a minute. I'm just sharing this. Here you can see I'm just writing like pip install IBM underscore Watson underscore. In IBM Watson Studio, we written like Watson hyphen machine hyphen learning hyphen client. In local system, you need to be installed in that way. Pip install IBM underscore Watson underscore machine underscore learn. So I hope, dear faculties, you understand. We will share the GIF file. We will upload updated files on that, and we'll share those. I hope it's clear with how to use the IDE for that and create a Flask application. Yes, definitely. If you are like listening only, then after the class you can please go through with the video and complete it. Yes, definitely. I will share the GIF file. Don't worry about that. It will take few minutes, like few time. By half an hour, we will share the files. We already stored it. We already stored the model. Here, this animal.h5 we extracted. That is why we are using this file. I will show you. We created, ma'am, we created this file, Meenakshi ma'am. We installed the IBM Watson machine learning. Then after, we authenticate. After authentication, we check animal deploy is presented there or not. Then we set as a default space. And then after we download in local system, this is my local system path. And right now, whatever the animal.h5 which we are using, this is the file which we deployed on IBM, but using from local system. So I hope it's clear. Clear, man? And this is the user interface for our application, where user will choose the image and they will get the output. For that, we created an spider. In a spider, basically, we created a Flask file, which integrated with index.html page, where we have a predict function. I show you like form action. Basically, this is basically a form where user will click onto the predict button. This predict basically call, and based on the selected image, it will firstly convert it into load the image into this 6464, then convert it into an array, expand the dimension, predict the category, and based on that, we will be able to see the result into the UI. Excellent learning on the part, but followed everything. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vijay, sir. Thank you for your lovely comment. Yeah, for CUH, like we will look into it. Like what's the solution for that? So till now, I hope it's clear. Can we create a model in the local machine and the same use? Yes, we can create a model in the local machine instead of creating a model into the IBM cloud platform or any cloud platform. We can also create a model in our local system using Jupyter Notebook itself. Instead of deploying the code. So in that, like if your local system you are talking about, so I will share the screen and show you. In local system, how you save the model. Here we have IBM deployment part, correct? But before that, before the testing also, before this testing, we save the model with this model.save. If local system also you run this in the whatever the folder you are using at that time, and that folder, this animal.h5 will be saved, and this animal.h5 will be your model, which you can integrate with the Flask application and create a web application. You don't need to be like this testing part is for your purpose to test it, and this is for the IBM deployment basically. So like in local system also you can deploy it, and this is for the IBM deployment part. So in this particular space UID, we did it. Thank you very much, Vinny ma'am. Can we also deploy animal.h5 file into Android device? Yes, definitely we can. Your sessions are excellent, but I am having the issues of implementation. I'm lagging behind, but I will complete after rapid review. Yeah, definitely, sir. If you face any difficulties, you can feel free to post your queries into the Telegram group. We will try to resolve your queries as soon as possible. I hope without cloud, can we deploy our model? Yes, definitely. Without cloud also, we can deploy our model in Flask, in local system itself. The advantage is like if you are deploying on IBM cloud, you don't need to be store anything in your local system. So this notebook, you don't need to be installed. Suppose if you have a very huge data, then in that case, you don't want to install in your local system. What you want, you are deploying your model on IBM cloud or any cloud platform basically. You just need to be access those functionality which you created on the cloud platform. So here I'm not downloading data set. I'm only downloading the model file. Entire code is present in the cloud platform Watson service. So this is the power like basically we can utilize for the cloud platform. So I don't want to store the data set. I don't want to store all the notebook files. Suppose this is a small application, but if we talk about like production level code, we cannot store all the things in the local system. So anyhow, like suppose if my system is shut down, in that case, like my colleague want to utilize those services, how they can do that? So in that case, I just need to be provide the credential if we have a cloud platform. While using Google Cloud, I am not able to train more than 700 images. Should I need to upgrade to Google Collab Pro? No, sir, you don't need to go for Google Collab Pro. You just need to be change the runtime to GPU. It will take an hour of times for this much amount of images. Or if you have a HD quality images, for the same code, if you are going to be run into the like Google Colab itself, you don't need to be you just need to be change the runtime as GPU, and you will be able to utilize the service. Yeah, thank you, Mahendra sir, for your lovely comment. No need to upgrade, sir, for Google Colab. So tomorrow agenda is basically we are going to be build a chatbot using IBM Watson Assistant service. So tomorrow we will understand few of the things about like NLP, like natural language processing. With the help of IBM Cloud Platform, we can create an interactive chatbot with the help of Watson Assistant service. So for Watson Assistant service, I think you don't need to be bother about like CUH and all, because it's a separate service which you are going to be create parallelly with me. Definitely, I will try, like we will try to solve it. Thank you very much for your lovely comments, all the faculties present here. So tomorrow we will like go with the chatbot. And regarding the files, I will like we will share the files into the Telegram group itself. We will upload into the drive and share with. I hope you all get the clear understanding about how to use the Flask. We are not going very deeper, very basic basically, because it takes a lot of time. And I understand that you all are bit much familiar with those things. And many of them are present here, those who are very good in web applications and uh, the cloud platforms as well. So this is how like we will share the notebook file, as well as we will also share how to download an IBM deployment from local system. That file also we will share, and related with the Flask file also we are going to be sharing. Streamlit is basically like in general, like Streamlit or Flask, both are working for like creating the UI. But if you're talking about Flask, you can customize more in comparison to Streamlit. Streamlit basically provides you very good UI. Just you need to be write a few, you need to be import that library, and with the help of Streamlit library, you can create a beautiful user interface, such as like interactive plots and graphs basically. But in case of customization, if we talk about customization, ma'am, so in that customization, in this case we have to go with the Flask. Both have their own pros and cons, we can say that. You like in case of Streamlit, you don't need to be routing, you don't need to be worry about like front end development. But in case of we talk about like Flask has their own customization. You can scale very easily. It's very high, like highly customizable. Lots of community support you will get. You can test it in comparison to Streamlit. You will very much tested the Flask. So for creating interactive plots and all, you can go with like Streamlit. But if for the web application, web framework you want to use, so I will prefer like Flask then Django. firstly Flask, then after that you can move towards the Django, because Django is mostly used for the production level. So I hope it's clear for all the faculties present here, and thanks for all the lovely comments. And very thank you for your patience as well. Python train.py image fetch. Didn't get it, Bini. Thank you, ma'am, for your feedback. Why using this I couldn't train more than 640 minutes? So try with this system. If you want to utilize the service, you can go with like Jupyter Notebook as well. In IBM, basically, we have only one service, Watson Studio, under that Jupyter Notebook. If you want to practice it, you can go with Jupyter Notebook or Google Colab itself. Minimum, you can go with like the same code, like we are training with fit_generator. If you want to train your data and fit it, so you can just simply write like model.fit_generator and pass the parameters. We also like we are training here like almost 1250 images. So 640 or 700 images easily you can do that in your local system if you have 8 GB RAM. And if you want to use the GPU, so you can go for Google Colab. No need to go for Google Colab Pro. Go for Google Colab. Free service also provided the GPU. So I hope it's clear for kindly share local machine Jupyter Notebook to download model in local machine. Also after the session, I missed it. Yeah, fine. I will definitely share. JMM, I will definitely share all the files. We will share within half an hour. We will share all the files. And thank you very much for your wonderful feedbacks. So if you have many more queries, you can let me know. Session was very good and you made us to understand how the application works. Great. But I have to try yes or from non-CS. Yes, the practice requires more in that case. You will get the videos recording. So from that videos recording, you can watch it. And if you face any difficulties, feel free to reach out to us on Telegram group. And thank you very much, Vijaya ma'am, for your Google Colab alternates. Jupyter Lab is also there. Google Colab is free. So Google Colab is like you can go with that. Gradient also there. Gradient is also one platform which provides around 30 GB RAM. You can go with that. But if you want more compatibility and easy to use, so like after Jupyter Notebook or Watson Studio Jupyter Notebook, you can go with Google Colab. That is. So thank you very much for your lovely comments. In local system, my GPU not working in Jupyter Notebook. I'm able to work with GPU in MATLAB. Okay. So that's why like you can go with Google Colab in that case. Instead of doing in your local system, you can go with the like Google Colab and you utilize the GPU service. So I hope it's clear for all and getting good insight about the Flask itself, along with the like deployment model on CNN. And those who not joined Telegram group, I'm requesting once again to all the faculties present here, please join to the Telegram group. If you face any difficulties, feel free to reach out to us on the Telegram group itself. We will try to resolve your queries as soon as possible. So thank you very much. Yeah, definitely. Our mentor will share the Telegram group link. It's not working for me, ma'am. If you have like already logged in, then only you will be able to join the group. Make sure like you will use from your mobile phone, so that will be good to join the group. You can keep that link, like Telegram group link. Our mentor will share with you, and once you log into your Telegram group, then try. So you will be adding, you will be joined to that group. No, for today there is not any feedbacks, ma'am. We have a feedback for tomorrow. So feedback from tomorrow we will share. And thank you very much for attending the session till 9:17. It's too late for you. Sorry for the inconvenience, but anyhow, we have to cover all the topics. That's why it's like 15 or 20 minutes late. Today we covered it before the time, but for the queries we extend till 9:17. So I hope it's clear for all the faculties present here. And thank you very much for joining the session. If you have more queries, I'm open to take. If you don't have, so we will going to be bind up the session, and we'll see you. Let's see you tomorrow. We will meet tomorrow at the same time, 6 o'clock. And tomorrow we will understand how to create a chat code with using Watson Assistant service. So thank you very much, and a very good night to all the faculties present. Thank you very much, and thanks for your lovely comments. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so our mentor shared the Telegram group link. I am requesting those who not joined the Telegram group, please try to please join the Telegram group immediately. Thank you very much. Still having any queries, please feel free to like post your queries into the chat. I hope it's clear for all the faculties, those who are still present in the meeting right now. Feedback form will be shared tomorrow. Thank you very much and good night. So I'm going to be bind up the session. Thanks to all the faculties present till now. Thank you very much. And we are going to be bind up the session. Thanks a lot.